Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss metabolic changes during well-fed state and starvation along with various NEET PG MCQs. To download lecture notes and other interesting stuff related to biochemistry, please visit website biochemistrybasics.com. Before going in the detail of metabolic changes occur during well-fed state and starvation, first let's see type of the question that can be asked from this particular topic in theory exam. So the long answer question like metabolic changes occur during fed, fasting and starvation states with a role of specific organs, and short notes like metabolic changes occur during prolonged starvation. First we will see fuel reserve of normal healthy person. Typical well-nourished 70 kg man has a fuel reserve of 1600 kilocalorie in the form of glycogen, 2400 kilocalorie in mobilizable protein, and 135,000 kilocalorie in triacylglycerols. From this, we can say that stored fuels are enough to meet caloric needs in starvation for 1 to 3 months, and in the case of some obese individuals, much longer. Now we will see definition of starvation. So starvation is the deprivation of the food and thereby deprivation of exogenous supply of calories to meet the energy demands of the body for basal metabolism and other activities. Starvation is not always the result of unavailability or scarcity of food. Any medical condition which prevents consumption or utilization of available food will lead to starvation, for example, trauma, surgery, cancer, infections, and malabsorption. Now we will see tau feed cycle. So this tau feed cycle is divided into 5 main stages. So the first stage is well-fed state, which is 1 to 4 hours after taking food. Second stage is early fasting, which is 4 to 16 hours after taking food. Third stage is fasting stage, which is 16 to 48 hours after taking food. Fourth stage is starvation, which is 2 to 4 days without food. And the fifth and last stage is prolonged starvation, which is more than 5 days without taking food. So these are the 5 stages of tau feed cycle. First, we will see stage 1, that is well-fed state or postprandial stage. So in the postprandial stage, exogenous dietary supply of fuel from the intestine is available and the major fuel is glucose. And the major hormone which play important role in the regulation of blood glucose level in the postprandial stage is insulin. And most of the enzymes which are regulated by covalent modification by insulin are in the dephosphorylated state. This insulin favors the glucose utilization by favoring glycolysis, and it favors the storage of excess glucose in the form of glycogen. First, we will see role of liver in the postprandial stage. In the liver, on carbohydrate metabolism. The first effect on the carbohydrate metabolism is it favors the glycolysis. It favors the glycogenesis, that is synthesis of glycogen, and uptake of glucose by glucose transporter 2 is insulin independent, but glucokinase is an inducible enzyme by insulin when glucose level is excess, that is greater than 100 milligram per deciliter, and it decrease the gluconeogenesis. Now we will see effect of insulin on fat metabolism in postprandial stage. So in the fat metabolism, it favors the lipogenesis. It increases the fatty acid synthesis. And it increases the triacylglycerol synthesis. So that is the effect of insulin on fat metabolism in postprandial stage. Now we will see effect of insulin in adipose tissue. In adipose tissue, it favors the transport of glucose transporter 4 from intracellular vesicle to the cell surface. Remember glucose transporter 4, glucose transporter 8 and glucose transporter 12 work under the influence of insulin. And they favor the uptake of glucose. It inhibits the hormone sensitive lipase enzyme, thereby it inhibits the lipolysis, that is breakdown of lipid. It favors the fatty acid and triacylglycerol synthesis in the adipose tissue. That is the effect of insulin in adipose tissue in the postprandial stage. Now effect of insulin in the muscle. In the muscle, there is a glucose uptake by insulin dependent glucose transporter 4. It favors the glycolysis in the muscle. It favors the glycogenesis, that is synthesis of glycogen. This is the picture showing the effect of insulin on the blood glucose. As we have discussed, so enzymes which are activated by insulin by covalent modifications are active in dephosphorylated state. So most of the enzymes which are activated by insulin are glycogen synthase, which increases the synthesis of glycogen in the liver and muscle. Then glucokinase, which increases the uptake of glucose by liver. Then there will be the inhibition of glycogen phosphorylase. So there will be the inhibition of glycogen breakdown in liver and muscle. There is a stimulation of lipoprotein lipase. So there will be the increased synthesis of triacylglycerol in the adipose tissue. All the enzymes of glycolysis will be activated. That means they will be in the dephosphorylated state. So there will be the increased level of glycolysis. There will be the increased activity of acetyl-CoA carboxylase. So there will be the increased fatty acid synthesis. That is the effect of insulin on the blood glucose level. Now we will discuss post-absorptive phase. So in the post-absorptive phase, there is a no fuel from the gut. Plasma insulin level decreases and glucagon level begins to rise. So there is an increased cyclic AMP level. So there will be the increased cyclic AMP dependent protein kinase A. So most of the enzymes which are active in the post-absorptive phase are in the phosphorylated state. Remember, insulin enzymes which are activated by insulin are present or active in the dephosphorylated state. But whenever there is an increased level of glucagon and the enzymes which are activated by glucagon are active in the phosphorylated state. So first glucagon. Glucagon activate the adenylyl cyclase. So there is an increased level of cyclic AMP. While insulin, it favors the phosphodiesterase which convert cyclic AMP to 5' adenosine monophosphate. So that is the effect of glucagon and insulin. So there is a decreased level of cyclic AMP level. So whenever there is an increased level of glucagon, there is an increased level of cyclic AMP, and whenever there is an increased level of insulin, there is a decreased level of cyclic AMP. So glucagon level will be increased in the post-absorptive phase, while insulin level will be increased in the postprandial phase. Now stage 2, that is early fasting, which is 4 to 16 hours after taking the food. So in the stage 2, that is early fasting, fuel from the gut is stopped. So effect on the carbohydrate metabolism will be, there is an increased breakdown of liver glycogen, but muscle glycogen is not breakdown. There is a decreased glycogenesis, and on lipid metabolism, there is a decreased lipogenesis. Now stage 3, that is 16 to 48 hours after taking the food. So there is again no fuel from the gut, and by 12 to 18 hours, liver glycogen stores are depleted and hepatic gluconeogenesis is favored. So muscle proteins are degraded to supply amino groups to pyruvate to form alanine. This alanine reaches the liver, which is used for gluconeogenesis, which is synthesis of glucose from the various non-carbohydrate sources like lactate, propenyl-CoA, glycerol part of fat, and alanine. and this is called as a glucose-alanine cycle. This is the picture showing the release of fuel from the body stores due to change in the hormone level during the onset of starvation. So during the onset of starvation, plasma insulin level decreases and plasma glucagon level increases. So there is a storage of liver glycogen level is also decreases, and there is a regulation of blood glucose level by means of hepatic gluconeogenesis. Now stage 4, that is starvation or prolonged fasting, which is 2 to 4 days without taking food. So there is again no fuel from the gut. There is a decreased gluconeogenesis. There is an increased activity of hormone sensitive lipase, which leads to increased lipolysis and free fatty acid level rises, and there is also increased level of acetyl CoA, and this acetyl CoA is not completely oxidized by TCA cycle because there is no availability of oxaloacetate, which is synthesized from the pyruvate by pyruvate carboxylase enzyme. So acetyl CoA is channeled towards ketone body synthesis, so there is an increased ketone body synthesis, and these ketone bodies inhibit the muscle proteolysis, that is breakdown of muscle protein. So that is the stage 4 starvation or prolonged fasting. Now stage 5, that is prolonged starvation, which occurs after 5 days without food, and in stage 5 there is an increased proteolysis, so that will lead to the muscle wasting and cachexia. This is the picture showing the changes in the concentration of fuels in the blood during starvation. As you can see, there is an increased level of ketone bodies in the prolonged starvation that is occurring in the stage 4. Now integration of metabolism at a glance. So major metabolic pathways in different stages of fast and fed cycle. So in the well-fed state, that is 1 to 4 hours after taking food, dietary metabolic fuels are available and all the anabolic pathways are active. While in the early fasting stage, there will be the liver glycogenolysis, that is breakdown of liver glycogen. In the fasting stage, that is 16 to 48 hours after taking food, there is a mainly hepatic gluconeogenesis, that is mainly from glycerol and alanine from the muscle. Triacylglycerol undergo lipolysis to provide glycerol for the gluconeogenesis, and glycogen stores are depleted by 18 hours. Then in the starvation, that is 2 to 5 days without food, gluconeogenic substrates are decreased like glycerol from the triacylglycerol and alanine. So there will be the fatty acid oxidation and ketone body synthesis. And in the prolonged starvation, there will be the muscle proteolysis. Now effect on basal metabolic rate. Apart from increase in the ratio of glucagon to insulin concentration, thyroxine production is also reduced, and that leads to decreased basal metabolic rate, body temperature, pulse rate, and blood pressure. And all this lead to death in prolonged starvation. Now we will see metabolic fuels of major organs. So liver, for the liver, major metabolic fuels is the free fatty acid, glucose in the fat state, then lactate, amino acids, fructose and alcohol. For the brain, main source is glucose, and when glucose is not available, ketone bodies, that is in the starvation. For the heart, ketone bodies, free fatty acid, lactate, chylomicron, very low density lipoprotein and triacylglycerol. For the kidney, free fatty acid, lactate, glycerol and glucose. And for RBC, the only major metabolic fuel is the glucose. So these are the major metabolic fuels of various major organs. This is the picture showing the fuel source which is used by brain in well-fed and starved state. So in the well-fed state, the majority of the fuel source which is used by brain is the glucose, while in the starved state there is a ketone bodies apart from glucose and amino acid. But the major chunk utilized by the brain in the starved state is of ketone bodies. Now we will see various NEET PG MCQs. Which of the following organs utilizes the glucose, fatty acid and ketone bodies as a fuel? And the options are heart, liver, RBC, and brain. So remember, liver cannot utilize ketone bodies because it doesn't have a thiophorase enzyme. RBC utilize only glucose. So we are left with two options, that is heart and brain. But the correct answer is heart because brain doesn't utilizes the free fatty acid. In fasting state, which of the following is false? And the options are insulin level false, levels of cyclic AMP is active, glycogenesis is active, and lipolysis is active. The correct answer is C, glycogenesis is active. Remember, in the fasting state, glycogenesis is not active. Correct answer is C. After 48 hours of fasting, which of the following do not be active? So after 48 hours of fasting, and the options are lipolysis, ketogenesis, gluconeogenic substrates are depleted, and glycogenolysis. Remember, after 48 hours of fasting, glycogenolysis will not be active. So the correct answer is D. Last question is, during starvation, ketone bodies are used as a fuel by erythrocytes, brain, liver, and all of the above. During starvation, ketone bodies are used as a fuel by brain. So the correct answer is B. So that is all about metabolic changes occur during well-fed state and starvation. These are my references. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe Biochemistry Basics by Dr. Amit. And don't forget to press the bell icons so you can get all the notifications from it. Thank you.